Perched on the shore of Lake Erie, venerable Cleveland Stadium on a glorious autumn afternoon on Ohio's North Shore. The stadium sold out, over 78,000 here for the 87th meeting between two of the fiercest rivals in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Already in the dog pound, the canine crazies are barking. They know at stake today sole possession of first place in the AFC Central Division. Coming into this game, the Steelers and the Browns holding identical 4-2 records. The Houston Oilers getting their third win just moments ago over the Cincinnati Bengals. Bill Belichick, the coach of the Cleveland Browns, in his third season. His team winning the toss and will receive the opening kickoff. And here is the kick taken at the goal line by Randy Baldwin. Fumbled, got it back, and has some room. And is hit at about the 12-yard line and dropped there. So Baldwin mishandling the opening snap, then brings it 12 yards. Welcome to those of you who have seen the Oilers defeat the Bengals. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth from Cleveland Stadium, the Browns and the Steelers. Browns just receiving the opening kickoff. They'll go with Vinny Testaverde. Second start, he's hit on 48% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Vardell, the top rusher. Metcalf, leading receiver. Jackson, the big play receiver. Offensive line, Tony Jones playing well. That crucial left tackle spot. First down for the Cleveland Browns, about their own 12-yard line. Fake to Vardell. Testaverde's first pass complete to Leroy Horde. He has a first down, cuts back down at the 27-yard line. 15 yards on the play-action pass. Testaverde hits his first.
This is what Vinny Testaverde is supposed to give this Browns offense that Bernie Kosar doesn't have. The play-action passing, the ability to move around the pocket and run. Right off the bat, you almost expected the Cleveland Browns to come out and try and run the football, but they go with play-action early.
Cleveland is the third best rushing offense in the AFC, but the play-action pass on first down. Wolfley is in motion. Hand to Vardell. To the 30, he only got a couple of yards against that tough Pittsburgh defense. Here's the way the Steelers line up. This defense, the curtain call defense, bringing back memories of the steel curtain. It's tops in the AFC. Davidson replacing the injured Gerald Williams up front. Steed has been a pleasant surprise. Excellent linebacking core featuring the outside backers, leading sacker Green, leading tackler Lloyd. And one of the best secondaries in football, the man of steel, Super Rod Woodson, has 4 more interceptions than anyone else in the NFL. He is Rod Woodson. He'll take the Browns' leading receiver. It'll be Jackson most of the time, sometimes Carrier. Again, the play action. Testaverde steps up, being rushed and spun down at the 25-yard line by Donald Evans. Evans grabbed a hold of the jersey and caught him for a loss of 5.
Donald Evans was originally drafted as a running back by the LA Rams. He was moved to the defensive line by the Pittsburgh Steelers. From the left side of your screen, don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but Greg Lloyd had a clean shot and slipped. They're down on the part of the field now that used to be the baseball infield. Of course, will never be again, and Mark Carrier appears to have maybe pulled a hamstring.
Mark Carrier, who is the third leading receiver for the Browns, but one of Testaverde's favorite targets, having played together at Tampa Bay. There's Vinny Testaverde, and the Browns on third downs are the worst in football. 3rd and 13. From the gun. Fumble. Finally, the Browns fall on it. Steve Everett went back to get it after Testaverde was hit by Greg Lloyd. Coughed up the football, and Everett recovered, but it will be a 9-yard loss. And Testaverde looks a little woozy after he took the hit from the Taekwondo master, Greg Lloyd.
Greg Lloyd told us yesterday that he thought he could work on Tony Jones on the outside. This time Lloyd from his linebacker position, almost a delayed blitz. They use him on third down more as a linebacker rather than a pass rusher. But he took a chance, came with the blitz, and it paid off.
Brian Hansen to punt now for Cleveland. The dangerous Rod Woodson is deep, shading his eyes against the sun currently. Hansen booms it high. Woodson from the 33. Tries to get the corner, gets a block. 51-yard punt by Hansen. And Woodson then brings it back 6 yards. Mike Caldwell on the tackle for the Browns.
And already it's starting. Here's Pittsburgh and Cleveland. They've been doing it for a long time, and the emotions are always just like that. You know, I've seen this game on videotape, but, you know, with the Bengals and got a chance to watch it, but there's nothing quite like being here. The dog pound's going crazy, the band's playing, people are chirping at each other. They're mad outside the stadium. Only a couple hours apart, these two cities, and it is crazy.
What were you saying? When you played for the Bengals, you thought you had a rivalry going with Cleveland, but this is the real thing.
Nothing like this.
Neil O'Donnell under center for his first snap. Steelers' first possession, scoreless first quarter. Barry Foster, the AFC's leading rusher, turns the corner and pounds ahead for 12 yards and a Pittsburgh first down. Finally bumped out of bounds by Eric Turner and Pepper Johnson. Here's the way the Steelers line up. O'Donnell fighting off tendonitis in his right elbow, hitting receivers at a 63% clip. Has already passed for over 1,000 yards. Foster leads the AFC, 481 yards rushing coming in. He's also the Steelers' leading receiver. And that offensive line for Pittsburgh, anchored by Dermontti Dawson, regarded by most coaches as the finest center in the league. Just across the midfield stripe, O'Donnell fakes to Foster, fires it too high for Dwight Stone, his intended receiver. The Pittsburgh offense, the best running team in the AFC, so Cleveland will try to stop it with the 4th best defense in the AFC. The press and rush featuring Michael Dean Perry and Jerry Ball, who comes off the bench. Pepper Johnson has replaced David Brandon at linebacker. Matthews today playing his 223rd game. In the secondary, Turner, the team's top tackler. And, of course, the veteran Walls up there has 57 career interceptions. That's second to Ronnie Lott among active players in the NFL. 2nd and 10 for O'Donnell. Foster got only a couple of yards, wrapped up in a hurry by Mike Johnson from his linebacker spot.
Barry Foster is coming off of a game in which he had to leave at the half. He bruised his shoulder last week, but at the time he left, had 75 yards, a couple of touchdowns, so just a typical day. His replacement, though, Leroy Thompson, came in and rushed for over 100 yards. He's not here today because of he's got an injured quadricep, but clearly this is a Steelers offensive line that is beginning to dominate.
From the gun on 3rd down, Mills in the game as a 3rd wide receiver. O'Donnell has a wide open Jeff Graham for a Pittsburgh first down. Hit hard by Eric Turner, but he held on to it for 13 yards and another first down for the Steelers.
And Neil O'Donnell has to be happy to have Jeff Graham back. He led the Steelers in receiving last season, but has really struggled so far this year after pulling a groin in a game against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Graham, a much welcomed addition to this Pittsburgh Steelers offense after the injury.
Graham played his college football at Ohio State, 2nd round draft choice in '91. Merrill Hodge in motion, give to Foster, good blocking, and then he's stuffed at the line of scrimmage, manages to fall forward for a couple of yards, but big Jerry Ball playing right on the nose, stacked it up at the line of scrimmage, delivered a blow to Foster. He kept his feet, but Ball made the play there.
Part of the crush and rush, Jerry Ball, Michael Dean Perry, and according to Bill Cowher, James Jones, the other tackle. Those three kind of rotate in and out, but they play about as well as any in football. And Jerry Ball, Neil O'Donnell says he's just a biscuit short of 400 pounds. I don't think he's quite that.
I notice you haven't said that to his face lately.
No.
You see the other scores? Week 8 of the NFL. O'Donnell in the pocket, has his man. Again, it is Graham. And Graham has it inside the 15. A gain of 17 yards. Second time O'Donnell has found Graham for a big one.
And the biggest difference, according to Bill Cowher, has been the play of Neil O'Donnell. As you watch Graham, obviously now much healthier, but he said that when Neil O'Donnell in the first 2 weeks of the season just was not himself. He didn't start on opening day, came back against the Rams, really didn't have the practice time. But now Neil O'Donnell is in a groove, playing well, and the Steelers are a different football team.
Here's what they've done inside the 20. They have it here. First down at the 14. Barry Foster shakes a man. Flags are down as Foster is tackled at the 10 by David Brandon. Tom White is the referee today.
Offside, number 92 in the defense. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Michael Dean Perry lined up in the neutral zones. They'll step off 5 against the Browns.
Right here, you'll see the helmet right over the neutral zone. Michael Dean Perry doesn't need to cheat in this game.
It's bad enough anyway.
I'm telling you.
There are the penalties. Cleveland 4th in the league. Neil O'Donnell in his college days at Maryland saw a lot of Michael Dean Perry, who played for Clemson in the ACC. And here O'Donnell is sacked by Burnett. Rob Burnett sacks him for a loss of 4. Yep, I'm bad. And he was on that play. Burnett, one of the unsung excellent performers on that defensive line.
No question about it. Rob Burnett just simply making his man miss. That was Leon Searcy, who had a great game last week against the New Orleans Saints.
Your attention, please. Victor Torres.
Welcome to those of you who have seen Buffalo beat the New York Jets. We're at Cleveland Stadium. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, scoreless first quarter, but the Steelers on their first possession are driving here with a 2nd and 10. Delayed handoff to Foster, who is to the 11-yard line. Wrapped up at that point by Michael Dean Perry. To bring up a 3rd down for the Steelers. Foster has carried 4 times for 22 yards. Of his 14 career 100-yard rushing games, 2 of them have come against the Browns in 1990 and in 92.
But Tom, Neil O'Donnell told us yesterday that the problem they had last year when they got beat here in Cleveland Stadium was they moved the ball up and down the field, but they couldn't stick it in the end zone once they got inside the 20. A big 3rd down play.
3rd and 7. Ball spotted at the 11 of the Browns. Dwight Stone in motion. O'Donnell's short drop, tried to force it in a crowd to Graham, and knocked away by Del Spear, the rookie, in the nickel package for the Browns. So Pittsburgh fails to convert on 3rd down.
Once again, problems in the red zone, and when you're playing in Cleveland Stadium, when you get down inside the 20, you need to put touchdowns on the board. Nice defensive job by the Browns.
So Gary Anderson is on to attempt the field goal. It will be a 28-yard attempt for Anderson, who is perfect this season, 11 for 11. Well, Cleveland Stadium does strange things. First miss of the year for Gary Anderson after hitting 11 in a row, 14 straight back to last season, and it's still a scoreless first quarter from sold-out Cleveland Stadium. Gary Anderson just missing his first field goal of the season. The Browns and the Steelers 0-0 in the first quarter. It is an absolutely gorgeous day at Cleveland Stadium. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth with you. And what is it about this stadium? You played here a lot with the Bengals, and here Anderson misses what would be a chip shot normally for him.
And he's been perfect all season, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have not been able to win here. 11 out of 43 since 1950. It has been simply unbelievable, the streak of bad luck they've had here.
Second possession of the game for the Browns. They had to punt on their first. Flags down as Tommy Vardell gains a few yards. Joel Steed finally tracks him down. And we'll check the penalty markers.
Looks like Greg Lloyd may have jumped offside from his right outside linebacker position.
It is offside against the Steelers.
Offside. Number 95 defense. 5 yards. Still first down.
Lloyd getting that little extra head start costs the Steelers 5. It has been an exercise in futility for the Steelers in Cleveland.
And Tom, here's the key number, that 5 for 5 in the 70s. Remember, they won 4 Super Bowl championships in the 70s. And each of those years, they did win here in Cleveland Stadium. Only 1 year did they not win here and go to the Super Bowl.
Vardell stops short of the 30. He'll be about half a yard shy of the first down. Levon Kirkland on the tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's touchdown Tommy Vardell out of Stanford in his second season now. He was telling us yesterday about his place in Medina, Ohio on Vardell Pond.
Said they had the fishing tournament out there with Vinny Testaverde, and Vinny caught the same bluegill about 10 times and won the tournament.
Kept hooking and releasing the same fish, huh? Testaverde was the winner of the fishing derby. Vardell, center of the line, didn't need much, got enough for the first down.
Vardell, though, has clearly become the man for the Cleveland Browns. He carried the football a career-high 25 times last week against Cincinnati, rushed for 98 yards and scored his first receiving touchdown on a 28-yard flare and run. Rushed for 104 yards in a win earlier this season against the Raiders.
And finally scored a touchdown after being called touchdown Tommy and never scoring
Said
his rookie year.
Said the fantasy football guys were driving him crazy.
Lawyer Tillman has replaced Vardell on first down. Metcalf is the only setback behind Testaverde. Fake it to Metcalf, and Testaverde launches it to Wolfley, and Ron Wolfley upended, shoestring tackle by Rod Woodson, but it goes for 9 yards as Wolfley involved in the offense, normally just as a blocker, but has made some key receptions.
And Tommy Vardell just simply loves Ron Wolfley. He got to play a little bit more last week against Cincinnati, and he's a guy that doesn't really care if you throw him the ball or hand it to him or do anything. He's just happy blocking. He's a big old lug of a guy. As long as he can go in and pound on some defensive lineman or linebacker, he's a happy guy. Tommy Vardell is very good friends with Mr. Wolfley.
In his 9th year from West Virginia, 230-pound Ron Wolfley. Testaverde going deep down the sideline. And incomplete as Lawyer Tillman was streaking down with D.J. Johnson step for step. Good coverage by that excellent Pittsburgh secondary.
You know, we talk so much about Rod Woodson and what an incredible job he has done this season, but I'll tell you something, all the way across this Pittsburgh secondary, they're as good as any in football. D.J. Johnson simply stride for stride, no problem with Lawyer Tillman on that one.
Johnson from Kentucky in his 5th season, 7th round draft choice in his 4th year as a starter. Missed only 1 game in his career with the Steelers. Big third down play for the Browns. Jones is in at a running back. Tommy Vardell gets the call, and it'll be a little short, I believe, as Kenny Davidson did a good job of preventing Vardell from getting first down yardage.
And once again, the disaster of third down for the Cleveland Browns. James Jones is in as the blocking back, but the Cleveland Browns all season long, they're worst in the National Football League on third down, converting only 27%. Conversely, the Steelers defense is 2nd in the National Football League at stopping on third down. And now decision time for Bill Belichick and the Browns.
And true to form today, the Browns are 0-2 on third down. Here it's going to be 4th down and less than a yard after they measure as they bring the chains out. I think that's what it's going to be.
It is going to be short, and the Browns are going to go for it.
So Belichick already has made up his mind, had a conference with Testaverde, and says
he's changed his mind.
Yeah, he has. He says punt. He was talking to Testaverde, sent him back out on the field. Now he recalls him. And the punt team is out. There's Hansen. Boomed 151 yards his first attempt.
You wonder if the Steelers had gone in and scored on that first drive and made it 7-0, you probably would have gone for it there, but in a 0-0 ball game, send in the punter. This is their style. They like the low-scoring ball games.
Woodson again shielding his eyes from the sun. He's looking almost directly into the sun. Wobbly punt by Hansen. Fair catch call by Woodson, and he didn't look like he was fighting the sun. Pulls it down at about the 22-yard line, where the Steelers will have their second possession.
A flag on
There
the
is a
play.
penalty marker down after that 39-yard Hansen boot. And it's against Cleveland.
They're going to decline that, though. It was a short punt, and Woodson made a nice play to come up
There's the signal from Woodson.
and make the catch.
Woodson does everything.
Woodson doesn't want to look up into that sun again.
Illegally downfield against the Browns is declined. Pittsburgh's ball when we return to the stadium. Cleveland Stadium, built for $3 million Depression-era dollars in 1931. It always evokes images for me of Otto Graham, Lou the Toe Groza, Jim Brown. I think it's a great place for a football game.
Got a little Paul Brown in there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Blanton Collier. O'Donnell, first down pass is complete. Tight end Eric Green makes the reception. And then Everson Walls wraps him up. For Green, that's his 16th catch of the season.
And just put yourself in the shoes of one Everson Walls. Here's a tackle coming out, and you got to take down 280 pounds of tight end. Good decision. Good for those. Go bite those ankles.
So was Nick Saban saying about Green that he's a mismatch player for everybody. Defensive back, linebacker, whatever.
So you could completely cover this guy, and he still catches the pass because you got to run around him to knock down the ball.
That one covered 9. Here's Foster. He has the first down. Foster just short of the 40-yard line where Mike Johnson makes the stop.
Well, Eric Green can catch it, and he can also throw a block or two. Anytime you've got somebody in there that size, boy, what a difference it makes here on the backside, just getting position. It's wonderful to see somebody that big, that quick.
6'5", 280, fourth year out of Liberty. First round draft choice. Foster out of the game now, and Randy Cuthbert is in for the first time this season. Cuthbert, number 42, a rookie from Duke, seeing his first action today. Handoff to Merrill Hodge, and Hodge gets very little before he's wrapped up by Jerry Ball and Michael Dean Perry, the crush and rush. Hodge now spelling Barry Foster as the halfback. He normally is the fullback, but with the injury to Leroy Thompson, Hodge will get a chance to run the ball some today. Foster now returns.
Merrill Hodge did lead this team in rushing 3 different times. Remember, he told us last year, of course, now he's the blocking back for Barry Foster. He said his low point last year, though, was when linebacker Al Smith of the Oilers was covering me on one of my decoy routes. When the play was over, he said, "Hey, didn't you used to run the football here in Pittsburgh?"
Ooh. O'Donnell. Across the middle, complete first down catch. Jeff Graham again for 12 yards before Mustafa stops him, and Graham already has 3 receptions here in the first half. Excuse me, just 2.
Right in your face, Jeff Graham has been working on Mustafa, and this has been the pattern that has hurt the Cleveland Browns. Simple man-to-man coverage reminds me of their old bump and run days when I played here. But Jeff Graham is having a big afternoon already. He appears to finally be back to 100%.
Just over a minute left. First quarter, scoreless. Foster tripped up in the backfield. Michael Dean Perry got great penetration, and with one big paw, took out the legs of Barry Foster. Big play, -3.
Sort of an interesting blocking scheme. You can see the 2 guards of the Steelers running into each other, and Michael Dean Perry running into Barry Foster.
Look at Clay Matthews. Matthews in his 16th season, as you know, the gray beard among NFL defensive players. He used to school a backup linebacker in his days at Cleveland by the name of Bill Cowher. Closing seconds, first quarter. O'Donnell wide open to Dwight Stone. Stone stopped after a gain of only 3 or 4 yards on a shoestring tackle by Terry Taylor. Officially 7 yards on what was likely the final play of the first quarter. And that is the end of the first quarter at sold-out Cleveland Stadium. Battle for first place, the Steelers and Browns, 0-0. Welcome back to Cleveland. Overhead flying one of America's most enduring images. It wouldn't be a big game without the Goodyear blimp. Goodyear Blimp providing aerial views for our game today. There's a look at Cleveland Stadium from the Blimp, the new Rock and Roll Hall of Fame under construction to the left of your screen, and one of the new additions to the rejuvenated downtown area of Cleveland.
New basketball, new baseball, everybody. They've got all kinds of new facilities in Cleveland.
Start the second quarter of a scoreless game. Neil O'Donnell in the gun on 3rd and 5. Ball at the 43 of Cleveland. Hodge hands on the end around to Mills. Ernie Mills trapped and down for a loss. Taylor and others got the penetration. Eric Turner put on the finishing touches as didn't fool anybody with that play.
When you have Clay Matthews on your team right there, you don't have to worry about tricky things like reverses and such. Eric Green was supposed to block the guy. 16 years in the league, are you kidding me? Most people can't walk after 16 years in football, but that man is never fooled.
Might have seen a trick play or two, huh?
Oh, man.
Royals with a punt. Metcalf fighting the sun now. Calls for a fair catch. Takes it at about the 16-yard line. 31-yard punt. Clay Matthews and the Cleveland defense did their job. Steelers and Browns are scoreless, and Cleveland with the ball and a significant absence from the lineup on the field. Mark Carrier pulled a hamstring earlier, will not return, and that is a big blow to Cleveland.
We'll talk about the significance of that and what it does to the Steelers secondary in just a minute.
First down play from the 17. Testaverde sending Tillman in motion. Vardell hit after a gain of a yard or so. Greg Lloyd made the play against the run.
Greg Lloyd.
The significance of Mark Carrier's injury is that now Rod Woodson, the human eraser, because whoever he covers, you just take him off the screen, is now going to be matched up against Michael Jackson for the rest of the afternoon. Wherever Jackson goes, that's where Woodson's going to go. When Carrier was in there, there was more balance, and they really weren't going to specify who Rod Woodson played against. But as you can see, Rod Woodson now coming out wide and will cover Michael Jackson for the rest of the afternoon.
And Testaverde has to take a timeout with the play clock ticking down toward a delay of game penalty. First timeout taken by the Browns. Scoreless game in Cleveland.
A final Houston 28, Cincinnati.
13:51 left, second quarter. Steelers and Browns scoreless. Cleveland with the ball 2nd and 8 from their own 19-yard line. Tommy Vardell held in check as you see Jackson being covered by Woodson. And Testaverde flips it to Leroy Horde, and he's knocked off the football on a good defensive play by Darren Perry, the free safety. Testaverde paid the price.
Tom, I think this has changed the entire defensive strategy of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have played nothing but man coverage since the injury to Mark Carrier. You can see Rod Woodson is going to be all over Michael Jackson, and to be honest, this Browns football team really doesn't have a receiver that's going to replace Mark Carrier. They've got Lawyer Tillman, Patrick Rowe, Rico Smith, but none the caliber of the gentleman there, Mark Carrier.
Lawyer Tillman is the man that has replaced him in the lineup as Testaverde tries to convert his first third down of the game. They're 0 for 2. That pass to Rico Smith is complete, and it is a first down. Rico Smith battling the rookie Dion Figures. It goes for 17 and a first down.
Rico Smith was Cleveland's 6th-round pick last season, and here's your #1 draft choice for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dion Figures. That's a battle that you would hope to win on the part of the Steelers, but Rico Smith coming up with a big play.
The two were teammates with the Buffaloes of Colorado, Smith and Figures. First down play. Vardell hit at the line of scrimmage and stopped. He's only averaging less than 2 yards a carry today against the #1 rushing defense in the NFL. Joel Steed, the nose tackle, made that stop, and an injury It might be Jerry Osofsky. It is number 55, one of the linebackers.
Osofsky took over for Hardy Nickerson this year, who left via free agency to Tampa Bay.
And while they tend to Osofsky, we'll take a break. Scoreless game from Cleveland. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth again from Cleveland Stadium. Jerry Osofsky, who was born and grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, then played his college football for the Pitt Panthers, is the injured Steeler player.
Here's Osofsky here, and it looked like Gene Williams, the tackle for the Browns, got position on him and just sort of collapsed. Osofsky, watch the right knee. Just going to squat down on it. Don't really see it twisting or anything. It's just hard to tell. He's been on the ground for a long time, so I don't want to try to guess, but at least it wasn't one of those direct blows to the side of the knee. Had a tough season last year as well. He missed 9 games with a broken hand and a sprained foot. All of last season only had 3 tackles, but had been doing so well along with Levon Kirkland, both of those guys having to fill in for veterans. David Little had taken over or was waived this year. Kirkland took his place.
They're inflating a cast to put on his knee right there, and they're bringing the stretcher out for Osofsky.
Tom, I think, well, usually that means you've got some kind of fracture.
Now the backup to Osofsky is a rookie, Chad Brown, second-round draft choice out of Colorado. Number 94 is Brown.
He's been used almost exclusively in nickel and dime situations this season. They're not deep at all at the linebacker position. Behind Kirkland and Osofsky, they have 2 rookies, Chad Brown and Reggie Barnes.
See the other scores. They only score in the late games. That Mark Logan touchdown run for the 49ers. Bill Cowher, who played linebacker here for the Cleveland Browns and talked about this rivalry. The 2 cities, he said, are so similar. The fans get so involved in the rivalry. He's seen it from both sides as a Browns player and as the Steelers coach. And while we have a moment, let's take a look at the natural gas quarterback efficiency ratings in the AFC. Joe Montana continues to show the way with that rating of 101.7. Neil O'Donnell of Pittsburgh is 5th, 90.5. Vinny Testaverde does not have enough attempts to qualify for a ranking, but his rating is down the line, 67.5. Jerry Osofsky being carried from the field. Former all-rookie player and All-American at Pitt.
Second down, 8 for the Browns at their own 30.
Instead of Chad Brown, now it's going to be Reggie Barnes, number 50, that comes in, the rookie from Oklahoma, a free agent who had his 24th birthday yesterday. Second down pass, Testaverde to Jackson. He has a step. Jackson with that great speed to the outside. Bounces off one man, and Jackson scores. Yards by the man who was the center of controversy a couple of weeks ago, his longest catch of the season.
Bill Belichick might even hug him now.
Matt Stover will attempt the extra point. It's through. And suddenly on the 62-yard strike, Testaverde to Jackson, the Cleveland Browns have taken the lead 7-0.
Watch the play here. Watch the play. Out of the backfield, their back is going to come. The rookie is going to try and match up with him. he's going to be clearly beat. So Rod Woodson's going to help and leave his man all alone for the touchdown. This is man-to-man coverage. Rod Woodson just tried to help because he saw a guy wide open running down the field and left Michael Jackson all alone.
And Jackson does the rest for his 4th touchdown of the season. Rod Woodson now waiting the kickoff by Stover. Stone takes the kickoff from the 5, and Dwight Stone lowers his head, bangs to the 21-yard line. Eddie Sutter on the stop. Here's the touchdown.
This is just a freelance by Rod Woodson. He saw a teammate that was clearly beaten. That was Leroy Horde working against Reggie Barnes. He felt like he had to help. That left Michael Jackson all by himself. It was man coverage. Nobody else was responsible for Michael Jackson. That's why he got such an easy touchdown. Nice job of Vinny Testaverde hanging in there and finding the open receiver.
And Jackson is shedding a would-be tackle by Carnell Lake to go all the way. O'Donnell tries to answer, and he has a completion to Thigpen. He has a first down, a gain of about 13 yards. He cut to the sideline in front of Everson Walls to make the catch. Thigpen, that's his 5th reception of the season, but 2 of those catches have gone for touchdowns.
But Bill Cowher on the sideline has to be saying, I am not believing this. I've got my all-pro best player on my football team, Rod Woodson, in man-to-man coverage, and that guy goes 70 yards for a touchdown. It was simply a breakdown due in part to the injury to Jerry Olszewski and having to replace him with the rookie Reggie Barnes.
Foster cuts back. Driving run gets him 3 or 4 yards before Clay Matthews makes the tackle.
What's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line? This is the 2nd time now that I've watched them run into each other. For whatever reason, they are miscommunicating. They pull again and just smack into each other.
That's
Ron Earhart's got to be pulling his hair out.
He didn't have that much to pull.
Watch the offensive line. A double pull, smacking into each other, no lead blocker. Sloppy start by the Steelers.
O'Donnell threw it before Thigpen made his turn. Flag down as the 2 former ACC rivals, Michael Dean Perry and Neil O'Donnell, have a meeting.
I believe Michael Dean Perry was held. He put his striped shirt on right after the play and gave us the signal.
Holding, number 72 offense. 10 yards, still 2nd down.
Leon Searcy.
Searcy is going to hold. That is not Michael Dean, it's Rob Burnett.
Going back to the touchdown, Chris, what was Bill Cowher telling us about freelancing on his defense?
He said it's okay as long as you get the play right. That time Rod Woodson did not, but really didn't have a choice because otherwise the back would have gotten a touchdown.
O'Donnell in some trouble, got rid of it to Foster, and makes a juggling catch. Mustafa tripped him up with a 14-yard reception by Barry Foster, who is the leading receiver on this team and the AFC's top yards from scrimmage man rushing and receiving.
But Tom, if I could, to go back to the significance of the touchdown, I think now because of that injury at the linebacker position, you're going to see the Steelers less willing to play man-to-man coverage. So now the whole momentum and the whole strategy of this football game has changed on that one play.
Steelers now facing a 3rd and 3 from their own 41. Foster on the sweep. No block at the corner. He's stopped short. Clay Matthews got in the middle of things. He had a lot of help. And they stopped the leading rusher in the AFC short of the first down.
The amazing thing about Clay Matthews, he had perhaps his best year a year ago, tied for the team lead with 9 sacks, 2nd most in his career last week against Cincinnati. He made the play that broke that game open. He sacked David Klingler, set up a fumble recovery by Michael Dean Perry. 16 years in the league, still throwing his body around. Surefire Hall of Famer.
Mark Royals punting to Metcalf. Backpedals to take it at the 10. And a good return. He's got a blocker in front. Metcalf cuts back, turns on the afterburner. Metcalf will go 90 yards.
What is it about this place?
There may be your answer right there. The longest of his career, 90 yards. A team record for the Browns. Stover for the point after. Officially 91 yards for Metcalf as he backpedals to take it right there.
There was a lot of question as to whether or not Metcalf was even going to play in this game. He was struggling with a knee injury. As you can see him limping down the field here at about a 4.2 pace. Wow. There are some moments in the National Football League where you don't mind paying the 25 or 30 bucks for a ticket when you watch a kid like this play the game.
Got a good block from Eric Turner to help spring him. The first punt return for a touchdown against Pittsburgh since 1984. Officially 91 yards as lightning strikes twice at Cleveland Stadium. 2 long plays and the Browns up 14-0.
I think that little sign said it all. We hate the Steelers. Bill's thinking, hey, guys, I used to play here and coach here and got a little respect.
Stover's kickoff. Dwight Stone, 2 yards deep, fumbled it, and then downs it. So all the pressure now on Neil O'Donnell and the Pittsburgh offense to get something going. He's hit 7 of 9, 86 yards, but no points.
Almost an exact turnaround of the Steelers game from last week, in which the New Orleans Saints, because of 2 quick early touchdowns, were completely taken out of their game plan. Now will Bill Cowher stay with his offense? Will he continue to run the football? I think that is still plenty of time. Don't go away from your game plan.
Play action. O'Donnell fires a strike to Dwight Stone. Nearly decapitated by Stevan Moore, but he holds on for 17 yards.
It's really great to see a guy with that kind of speed. 4.25 speed. That is world class, that is willing to catch the football and take a lick like that. You don't find many around the National Football League that fast and that tough.
Dwight Stone out of Middle Tennessee. In his 7th season with Pittsburgh. Here's Barry Foster. Again, the Browns ready for Foster. He gets 2, then thrown back. James Jones led the charge.
Made by Pepper Johnson, James Jones. Najee Mustafa was also there along with Stevan Moore for Cleveland.
There's the big boys, and that's what it's going to come down to.
Second down,
James Jones, you hit on it earlier, Tom. Really one of the more underrated players in this league. He's the leading sacker on the Browns team, 3.5 sacks. Also the leading scorer on the defensive line, 3 career touchdowns and a safety.
He plays running back occasionally. O'Donnell has a world of time, and he has Green all alone. Eric Green, 1 man to beat. rambles toward the end zone and tripped up at the 4-yard line by Pepper Johnson. 55 yards to Eric Green.
And then a little move and a little groove and the obligatory point at the dog pound. Welcome to AFC Central football. Here it is, folks. Eric Green, this was really set up by the offensive line. Look at the protection all day. Man-to-man coverage. Eric Turner could not cover Eric Green for that long. Now move. Look at the move. Yes, sir. 290 plus. Here he goes. Just ran out of steam, I think, before he hit the end zone.
Longest reception of his career, and it puts Pittsburgh into the red zone. 1st and goal from the Cleveland 4-yard line. And the Browns didn't have all their defensive players on the field. They're forced to spend their 2nd timeout. It comes with 7:09 left in the half. Pittsburgh threatening to get on the board. Welcome back to Cleveland Stadium. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth. That's the 12th defensive player on that end of the field. The dog pound. Pittsburgh looking right into the pound now. 1st and goal from the 4.
I love it. I love it.
O'Donnell on the play action lofts it for Green, incomplete. That's the first miscue for O'Donnell in 8 passes. He had hit 7 in a row before that.
Every time you have to try and score a touchdown into the dog pound end, you always are looking up at the clock hoping for a quarter change. You can't hear and you're distracted and you got all the maniacs up there. These are going to be the longest 4.5 yards of the Steelers' life right here, but they have to get it in. Almost 4 down territory. I wouldn't be surprised even if they come back to a 4th down to see them go for it, down 14-0.
And again, the words of O'Donnell last year, this was where they failed. Pittsburgh in this red zone area. Handoff that time to Foster, and he scores. A little taunt for the pound as Barry Foster scores his 7th touchdown of the season. That time the offensive line, Chris, did its job, and Foster just strolled into the end zone.
That was a nice flanker trap that time. They sent the tight end in motion, trapped in the middle, and then watch the play. 84 just going to make the trap on the end. That's Tim Jordan. He's the one that sprang Barry Foster, but there was a flag, Tom, thrown out of the crowd. I saw a flag and I was distracted by it. The referee turned around and threw it back in the crowd.
Well, unsportsmanlike conduct against the pound. It's 14-7. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth. Welcome back to Cleveland Stadium. An action-filled first half, 14-7. Cleveland leading after Pittsburgh just scored. Short kickoff taken by Vardell. There is a real flag down. Vardell tripped up at the 25 by Dion Figures.
Either that or that guy's arm in the dog pound is approved.
Sign him up.
You're playing for the Indians next year.
It'll be against the Browns. Browns got a long touchdown pass to Michael Jackson. 91-yard punt return
Holding.
by Metcalf.
Number 56 during the return. 10 yards. 1st down.
Caldwell guilty of the hold.
Tim Jordan's going to make the trap block. That's what sets up the touchdown. Easy 6 for Barry Foster. And then watch coming out of the crowd. If you score a touchdown, it's not going to matter. They're going to flag you for it, as I'm sure Bill Cowher's heart sunk. Then the referee turned and threw the whole thing right back into the crowd. They come with props now to Cleveland Stadium.
Metcalf with a short gain. Stuck by Joel Steed.
A little dirt clod in the helmet.
Always a feature of Cleveland Stadium. What several of the Steeler players said is like playing in sand to play out there. I guess it's going to be strictly a football stadium now, though. The Indians will move to their new home, the new Gateway Stadium, and so no longer will they have the skinned part of the infield to contend with.
Yeah, that's awful playing over those infields. The dirt always gets down in your shorts and makes for an uncomfortable day.
There's the blip view of Cleveland Stadium. A burst up the middle by Randy Baldwin. Baldwin in the game for a quick 10-yard gain. That's only his 8th carry of the season. Reggie Barnes, the rookie linebacker who replaced the injured Jerry Osowski, tackled Baldwin.
Well, Tom, this is pretty much the kind of game I expected, an offensive explosion by both teams. So we came in thinking, would it be 3-0 or 6-3 maybe if it was a real big day? And so far, nothing but excitement.
Big play afternoon. The Steelers got a long pass to Green to set up their touchdown. Metcalf. No, it's Baldwin, excuse me. Baldwin to the 25, and that's a gain of 3. Levon Kirkland gets credit for the Pittsburgh tackle.
Houston Hoover with a nice trap block on that one. Houston be coming from your right side will kick out Kevin Green, and that's what enables the pickup on the play.
I think it's interesting, Chris, that both centers are able to do the pull and trap blocks on these two teams, something you don't often see. Testaverde looking, throw it away. Wolfley was closest to it, but he just threw the ball away as his protection broke down.
And Tom, just as I talked about the big play against man-to-man coverage, the Steelers had run about 7 straight plays on defense and man-to-man coverage. The big play immediately out of it. Right now the Steelers in a zone. And really that's the right strategy against Vinny Testaverde. Traditionally, Vinny has eventually thrown the big interception. You want to make Vinny Testaverde beat you with 12 and 14 play drives.
3rd and 8. That'll be 5 yards against the Browns as Tony Jones backed into pass block prematurely. And the Browns failed to convert their first 2 third downs.
False start. Number 66, offense. Moving prior to the snap. 5 yards to 3rd down.
You're going to see both guys moving here. Clearly, I don't know if Vinny may have jumped the gun or the center just didn't snap the ball. You got a rookie in there, Steve Everett at center.
Browns have converted only 1 of 3 on 3rd down. They're the worst in the league. Screen set up. Metcalf caught from behind. Good play by Donald Evans, who got there as the screen was developing and caught Metcalf from behind as he was trying to get a block.
But what a nice play by Donald Evans right there. He's going to get in on the pressure and then run down Eric Metcalf from behind. What great hustle. Remember, he's a smallish guy, only 258 pounds, a former running back, and that's what enabled him to make the play there. Great play by Donald Evans.
Hansen has done a good job punting today. Came in as the 2nd leading AFC punter by average as Woodson awaits the boot. Almost blocked. Hansen got it away, spirals to Woodson at the 24. He got a block that looked like it might be a clip, but there's no flag, and Woodson brings it back 11 yards after Hansen had taken it downfield 52. Ron Wolfley finally made the tackle.
Everybody's getting popped in this football game.
Wolfley a little gimpy as he gets up. Well, don't forget college football, the game of the year as it sets up Florida State and Notre Dame in the battle for #1 coming your way November 13th. Looks like both those teams will sail into that November 13th meeting unbeaten, if form holds anyway. Charlie Ward and the high-powered Seminoles against Lou Holt's team of overachievers. It'll be a great one November 13th here on NBC. Play action. O'Donnell sets the screen. Hodge. Merrill Hodge close to a first down to the 45. Tackled there by James Jones.
Tackle was made by James Jones. Najee Mustafa and Clay Matthews.
Really a nice job of acting on that screen by John Jackson. Watch him right out here on the end of the line of scrimmage. He's going to look like he just gets smothered on the play. He's going to fall back, collapse. Oh, the guy beat me. Slip it right out there for the screen to Merrill Hodge. A little thespianism on the part of John Jackson.
Duval Love gave him a pretty decent block out there on the corner. There's John Jackson. Not only that, half sack. Foster has the first down, stopped just short of midfield by James Jones. First down, Pittsburgh, with 2:54 and counting first half, and the Browns up 14-7.
Scary thing about Barry Foster, everybody knows what he did running the football, not only this year but last year as well, but now is becoming much more of a factor in the passing game. For the first time in his career last week against Cincinnati, had a touchdown rushing and receiving.
Leading pass catcher for the Steelers. O'Donnell to Stone. Shakes one man and is bumped out of bounds after picking up the first down by Eric Turner. 14-yard gain.
Nick Saban, the defensive coordinator, said that we are scared to death of Dwight Stone after the catch. He's not a great route runner, but once he gets his hands on the football, he can really move. He was signed originally as a running back. That's why he wears number 20. Great moves after the catch.
His third of the day for 40 yards. First down, Steelers at the Cleveland 35-yard line. 2:06 left first half. And the Browns leading 14-7. O'Donnell, that play is called. I don't think they got it off before the 2-minute warning.
There is no play. 2-minute warning prior to the snap. Please reset the stadium clock to 2 minutes.
Tom White with the call and gives us a chance to take a break. Pittsburgh bidding to tie before halftime. Two minutes left first half from Cleveland Stadium. Browns up 14-7. Pittsburgh has a first down at the Cleveland 35. Play action fake to Foster. O'Donnell down the sideline. Hodge can't get there. Well covered by Stevan Moore. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Boy, did the Browns get a break there. Short motion by the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the wide receivers, and it really confused the secondary of the Browns. They had lost their man coverage. There was confusion. Jeff Graham ended up wide open on the play. At the end of it, he was jumping up and down and waving his arms, but Neil O'Donnell just did not see him.
And you had a little preview there of what will be coming up at intermission. The Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report with Jim Lampley and Mike Ditka. Foster. Tough run to the 30-yard line. Gain of 5. It'll be 3rd down after Mike Caldwell prevented a further gain by Foster.
Really enjoying watching the game plan of defensive coordinator Nick Saban for the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers like to do so much pulling with their offensive linemen, and it appears to me that Saban's game plan is to get some penetration and disrupt that pulling so that they don't get a chance to get out in front of Barry Foster and Merrill Hodge.
Foster carried 12 times for 47 yards. It's 3rd and 5. The Steelers have converted only 1 of 4 third downs. O'Donnell from the gun. Pressure. Quick strike. Complete to Graham. And he has a first down at the Cleveland 20. There is a flag down.
This one's coming back. Have an illegal shift and a couple of illegal shoves and a little spit flying, and you're in the AFC Central.
Dirt clods, dog bones.
You know, I love it. You know, people in New York and LA, they don't get a chance to watch this stuff very often. Good to have you here in the Midwest.
Illegal motion on the left guard, moving prior to the snap from the two-point stance. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
You're going to see the motion. I think Michael Dean Perry is going to set it up. When he flinches, it's going to make Duval Love flinch back. And remember, the defensive guys can move all they want, but the offensive linemen have to hold their ground.
3rd penalty, 20 yards against the Steelers, but it nullified a first down at the 20. O'Donnell's got a man. Graham again, banged down at the 6-yard line by Dale Spear. And there's another flag down. O'Donnell can't believe it. But he says now it's against Cleveland, a hold against the Browns. And with just over a minute left, that penalty will be declined. The gain of 23 will stand.
They can't cover Jeff Graham one-on-one. That's the veteran Everson Walls. No match for the speed of Jeff Graham.
That penalty will be declined. Take the result of the play. First and goal.
I'm really surprised to see the Browns playing this much man-to-man coverage. Throughout the course of the season, they've played much more zone.
You saw Nick Saban there on the Browns sideline signaling for the timeout, and they get it with 1:01 remaining, and the Steelers knocking on the door. It's 14-7 Browns. They're trying to cling to the lead with 1:01 left. They've just spent their final timeout as Pittsburgh has the ball first and goal.
Big moment in the ball game now. The Steelers can go in tied, having scored the last 2 touchdowns. All the momentum on their side. But once again, got to go into the teeth of the dog pound.
Trying to rattle the cage of the canines down there as Cleveland gets a late defensive player onto the field. And now the flags go down. Well, now how can you have a timeout and then not have your defense set?
Boy, I tell you what, Bill Belichick is going to be a little ballistic. I think what Mike Johnson did there, he saw that they were disorganized and just went over and smacked one of the offensive linemen. Go ahead and take the penalty, but don't give them the cheapy touchdown. But really, I thought that they made it on the field in time. Number 59, Mike Johnson's just going to jump across and
Kick
kind
the
of
football, didn't he?
kick the football away because they weren't ready. Mike, you're going to have to be one heck of a lawyer to get your way out of this one. I don't know what the confusion's about.
Encroachment. Number 59 defense contacting the center prior to the snap. It'll be half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
I think it's a pretty heads-up play, though, to take the half the distance rather than give up the touchdown.
It was Mike Johnson himself who was late on the field. He comes out and just a little drop kick.
So spot the ball at the 3, first and goal Steelers. From the eye, Foster behind the block of Hodge, cuts up to the 1. Bob Burnett managed to keep him from scoring as we go inside the final minute of the half.
And remember, the Steelers have all their timeouts, so they're going to run off the clock. They have plenty of time here.
The ball spotted just inside the 1-yard line now as Cowher says, settle down, settle down.
Now, you know what? He's mad that they took the timeout. He wanted that clock to run down. He doesn't want the Cleveland Browns to get the football back. He's saying, who called the timeout? He's a funny guy, though. He really is. He loves the game of football. You can just tell in talking to him. And he loved the idea of coming back to Cleveland Stadium where he played and coached.
When he was a Browns linebacker, Clay Matthews was injured and he got a chance to start 1982 for Matthews. And then the very next week, the players went on strike.
He could have altered the course of history.
Handsome young devil in his Browns linebacking days. He said one thing you could say about Clay Matthews, I wouldn't exactly call him cheap, but he was frugal. And since he was from Pittsburgh, every time the Browns came to Pittsburgh to play, Cowher had to host Matthews to dinner at his
Didn't want to spend his meal.
parents' home.
Second down and goal from the 1.
Second and goal from the 1. Hodge and Foster from the eye. Foster barely got the handoff and then hurdles into the end zone. Neil O'Donnell nearly fell down getting the football, but Foster safely cradled it, tucked it away, and took it for 6, his second touchdown of the game.
This is what Nick Saban told us that he feared most about Barry Foster. When he swings wide and then picks a hole, the Steelers do a great job, psych, do a great job of just stretching the defense and then letting him cut up inside.
Foster adds to his league-leading touchdown total. The extra point is through by Anderson. And Barry Foster with his second touchdown of the day. And the extra point have tied the game at 14 with just 41
Watch
seconds
the
left.
lineman getting out in front. This is just position blocking. You're not trying to wear anybody else. Nice job by Merrill Hodge to get him in the end zone. Good block.
Hodge with a kick out of Turner to open it up for Foster.
Everybody sliding in front. Also a big block out there by Eric Green. Did you see number 86? just sealing off the inside pursuit. I like that one, into the dog pound. I wish I had a chance to do that one time.
How did you and the pound get along during your days? I noticed when they introduced you to the crowd as the announcer for today's game, you got a pretty lusty round of boos.
Well, they announced you, too, when they were booing. How do you know they were booing me?
We're sort of the Beavis and Butthead of NBC Sports.
You just didn't get too close to those guys down there. You really didn't. They got a little wall and a little fence down there, and you never wanted to be in range because you never knew what might come flying out of the stands. At best, you got a dog biscuit in the head.
Anderson's kick is short. Vardell will take it at about the 8. Spun down short of the 25-yard line by Chad Brown. 16-yard return.
But, Tom, here's the significance of that timeout.
It gives us a chance to plug the NFL Live Halftime Report. That's the significance. The Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, as Lampley and Ditka are awaiting intermission to bring you up to date on everything that's happened in Week 8 of the NFL season.
Had the timeout not been taken, there wouldn't have been 35 seconds, but probably you're going to see Belichick just run out the clock.
Off to Leroy Horde, and the fans let it be known that they don't appreciate that kill the clock strategy. Belichick already off with a headset. Will be heading to the locker room.
Did they announce our names again?
It's not that boo.
Oh.
It was a louder boo when they announced your name. Well, not in a happy frame of mind. He blew a 14-point lead, but Cowher's team has the momentum. 2 touchdowns Cleveland, answered by 2 touchdowns by the Steelers in a first half of big plays at Cleveland Stadium. That's the end of the first half. The Pittsburgh Steelers 14, the Cleveland Browns 14. Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report is next after these messages from the NFL and your local stations.
Back. Let's quickly get up to date on what's happening in the 4 games being played late this afternoon. Then we'll take a look at what happened earlier today, starting in Cleveland, where, as you know, the Steelers and Browns are knotted up at 14 apiece at halftime. And, Mike, for the Steelers to come from 14 down was huge.
Well, it's encouraging because they got a bad break on the punt return. The kid made a great run. They missed some tackles. They're down 14-0. Come back. They hit a big play to Green. And then I thought O'Donnell's he's having a great year, really. He's throwing the ball very effectively, and he's doing what he has to do. Pittsburgh's a little beat up on defense, and they're playing quite as well on defense as they had earlier. But I tell you what, this is a tough football game. Pittsburgh has not won very much at Cleveland, and it's going to be hard for them to come away with a victory today.
O'Donnell 12 of 16 for 211 yards. Another good performance today for Steve Young in San Francisco, where the 49ers lead the Phoenix Cardinals 14-0 in the third quarter. Jerry Rice with a touchdown catch in the first half. Seattle is up 3-0 over New England in the Kingdome. It has been a battle of inept offenses so far, neither team able to get anything going. Detroit and the Rams likewise 3-0 Detroit there. Jim Everett, another horrible first half. 2 of 9 for 12 yards and an interception. Earlier today, Buffalo came into New York looking to beat the Jets and get some distance between themselves and other contenders in the AFC East. Jet killer Thurman Thomas did it again today, rushing for 117 yards and coming alive as a receiver. Pivotal play of the game, third quarter, Jets leading 7-6. Esiason pressured by Bruce Smith, throws into the flat, picked off by Darryl Talley. Talley goes all the way back, 61 yards for the touchdown. Buffalo's first third quarter score of the season gives them a 13-7 lead. The two teams traded field goals, and then late in the fourth quarter, Esiason attempting a comeback under pressure. Smith with another sensational play. Diving to make the interception. It was the Jets' 4th turnover of the game, led to a field goal by Steve Christie, which clinched the Bills' 19-10 victory. And, Mike, you spoke in pregame about their defense. That was the difference again today.
Well, that interception Smith made, I don't think anybody else in the game can make that thing. I don't know how he knew even where the ball went to go after, but he made a great play on it. And the play that Talley made was a great play. What it was a bootleg. He stayed with the tight end. And now we tell the tight end, you got to knock him, make his eyes water, get off the ball. Evidently, he didn't do that. He makes a big play. So, you know, they didn't play a great offensive game today. They were missing Tasker on special teams, and yet the defense came up and made the plays to keep them in position to win it, and they finally win it. They're a heck of a football team.
Remember a couple of weeks ago when the Saints were a heck of a football team at 5-0 and the Falcons were 0-5? Today the Falcons easily beat the Saints 26-15. Billy Joe Tolliver hurt. Bobby Hebert comes on and has another spectacular game against his former teammates. Cincinnati threatened Houston for a long time today, led 12-7 at one point. But the Oilers come back to win it 28-12, and there's a measure of vindication for Warren Moon here. Moon handing to Lorenzo White, who takes it up the middle for a 4-yard TD in the third quarter. That finally gave the Oilers the lead at 14-12. Then in the fourth quarter, Houston capitalizes on a Cincinnati turnover. Moon to Haywood Jeffries for the 11-yard touchdown. 21-12 Houston. They go on to get another TD and win it 28-12. Jeffries, who had 7 catches in the ball game, can no longer complain that he hasn't been getting the football. And I don't know if this is enough, Mike, to get the Oilers back to their Super Bowl contender level.
Well, if it's not, the thing that could be enough is their schedule for the next 5 weeks. It's really a favorable schedule. They're back within their division. There's teams that they can win, that they should beat. They've got the talent to beat them. The main thing they've got to do is quit bickering down there. They've got a lot of good football players. Warren Moon can play football as well at that position as well as anybody. The main thing he has to wear is just go ahead and play. Don't worry if he's the guy that's supposed to be there or he's wanted there. Just go out and do it, and they'll never take him out of there, believe me.
All right, so the Oilers look ahead to the easy schedule. Meanwhile, Green Bay, coming off the win over Denver, keeps it going with a 37-14 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game can be described as Sterling and Sharp. Wide receiver Sterling Sharp lines up behind center as the quarterback in the second quarter. They call a quarterback keeper good for a 5-yard gain. It was already 14-0 Green Bay at this point. Next play, Sharp at QB again. Passes this time to Robert Brooks for a short gain. Then they put him back at wide receiver. And Favre connects for a 10-yard TD. Sharp's third touchdown reception of the game. 21-0 Pack. Fourth quarter, 30-7 Green Bay. The Sterling Sharp show continues as he hauls in the 32-yard TD reception from Favre. His fourth TD of the game made it 37-7. They go on to win 37-14. Obviously, without a running game, they go as far as Favre and Sharp can carry them.
But they're doing some better things on offense and defense than they did earlier. They lost 2 games in the last 4 seconds. Now, if they can remedy that situation, they look to me like the only team in the Central Division of the NFC who can score points. And I tell you, this guy Sharp is as good as I've seen once he catches the ball. I mean, he can run the ball with anybody. So, you know, they got a lot of good things going on. Favre's a good quarterback, good young quarterback, very resourceful. So I like him. I picked him early. Oh, we'll see what happens.
I'll make you general manager. You can have 1 wide receiver, Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, Sterling Sharp. Who do you like?
Well, first of all, how much are you going to pay me to be a general manager?
I'm giving you a piece of the team,
well,
Coach.
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd take a combination of all 3 of them.
He hedges big time on that question. We'll send you back to Cleveland for the second half of the Browns and the Steelers. That's a good hedge. You can't make an answer. Right after these messages from your local station.